Summary: The Bed of Procrustes, Nassim Taleb. Book link. Click here. Here is a summary. The person you are most afraid to contradict is yourself. An idea becomes interesting when you fear taking it to its logical conclusion. Pharmaceutical companies are better at inventing diseases to match existing drugs than inventing drugs to match existing diseases. Losing all your fortune is less painful than losing half of it. To bankrupt a fool, give him information. Academia is to knowledge of what prostitution is to love. In science, understand the world. In business, have others misunderstand it. Socrates may have been put to death because clear thinking is unattractive. Education makes the wise wiser but the fool more dangerous. An idea's originality is shown not by no predecessors but by many incompatible ones. We age prematurely but live longer. An erudite displays less than he knows, a journalist or consultant, the opposite. Your brain is most intelligent when you do not instruct it. If anger decreases with time, you did injustice. If increases, you suffered injustice. Question generosity for its rewards. It may be an attractive investment strategy. Those who think religion is about belief do not understand religion or belief. Work destroys your soul by invading your brain during non-work hours. Be selective about jobs. In nature, we never repeat the same motion. In captivity, office, gym, commute, sports, life is repetitive stress injury. No randomness. Using others' failure of common sense as an excuse is a failure of common sense. Compliance with Aristotelian logic and avoiding inconsistencies are different. Economics cannot digest that the collective and aggregate are less predictable than individuals. Do not call it progress without comparing zoo animals to wild animals. If you know your day precisely in the morning, you are dead. More precision, more dead. The only states between life and death are employment. You have a calibrated life when most of your fear seems like an adventure. Procrastination is the soul rebelling against entrapment. Nobody wants to be perfectly transparent to others or himself. Here is a summary of the statements. People compliment those who do not threaten their pride. They call confident people arrogant. Each generation tends to criticize the next generation as shallow while praising their own generation's values. It is hard to avoid annoying others with unsolicited health advice, just as it is hard to stick to an exercise routine. Praising someone's lack of flaws implies they also lack virtues. Shouting that someone did something unforgivable often means forgiveness has already begun. Lacking imagination is only a problem if you get bored quickly. We call self-centered people narcissistic and two self-centered people in a relationship lovers. A friendship that ends was never real, at least one person was used. Most people fear being without media stimulation because their thoughts and imagination are repetitive. Unreciprocated hate diminishes self-esteem more than unreciprocated love. You cannot reciprocate hate. Compassionate people find it easier to displace sorrow with other sorrows than joy. Wisdom in youth and frivolity in old age are both unattractive. Some people are only funny when they try to be serious. Resisting revealing secrets in conversation is challenging as if information wants to spread and multiply. Mistaking the unobserved for the non-existent is a recent error. Mistaking the unobserved for the unobservable is worse. Asking science to explain life and meaning is like asking a grammarian to explain poetry. You exist only if you can act freely, without visible purpose, justification or conformity to another's narrative. The sacred cannot be expressed in profane terms, but the profane can be discussed in sacred terms. Atheism treats the dead as if they never lived. Accepting the sacred recreates religion. Without understanding religion, art, or anything, people once wore or, if you cannot sense, the difference between sacred and profane ordinary clothes daily and formal attire on Sunday. Now the reverse is true. A ritual bath is taken after contact with certain profane things like consulting, economics, business, and journalism to separate holy and profane. Purification is felt until the next profane contact. Books are the only medium not corrupted by profane commercial agendas that manipulate the reader. Lies can be replaced with truth, but myth is only replaced with narrative. The sacred involves unconditional principles, the profane involves conditional principles. Tragedy arises from mistaking someone else's unconditional principles for conditional ones, or vice versa. It is easier to fast than a diet. You cannot be slightly kosher or halal by eating a little ham. To break the newspaper habit, read newspapers from the previous week for a year. Success means becoming what you dreamed of as a child. The rest comes from a lack of control. The opposite of success is name dropping, not failure. Becoming rich is not the same as being mathematically, personally, socially or ethically. To be completely free, avoid being a slave and becoming a master. Fortune punishes the greedy by making them poor, and the overly greedy by making them rich. Suicide is more linked to loss of status or shame than medical issues. Wealth is meaningless. Measure unwealthy, the gap between what you have and want at any time. The old have qualities the young lack: poise, knowledge, wisdom, prudence, lack of restlessness. Researchers at a happiness conference seemed unhappy. What fools call wasting time is often the best investment. Decline starts by replacing dreams with memories, ending by replacing memories with other memories. Avoid being disliked without being envied or admired. Avoid influences from the past 1000 years. Talk to no ordinary man over 40. A man without a heroic spirit starts dying at 30. Some pursuits, like heathen piracy, are dull from the inside. Karl Marx said you can control a slave better by making him think he is an employee. Catholic countries once had serial monogamy, not divorce, as life expectancy and marriages were much shorter. Socialize with the poor to get rich fast. Socialize with the rich to get poor fast. You'll be civilized when you can do nothing, learn nothing and improve nothing without guilt. Saying I am busy declares incompetence or is meant to eliminate you. Enslaved people did not flatter their masters like employees do today. You are rich if rejected money tastes better than accepted money. For most, success is the harmful move from the camp of haters to the camp of the hated. To see if you like where you are, check if you are as happy returning as leaving, independent of external chains. Those who talk of love tend to be in love, those who talk of happiness tend not to be happy. Maternity, youth without heroism, age without wisdom, life without grandeur. You can tell how boring someone is by whom they find interesting. The internet is unhealthy for attention seekers. Measure how long it takes a slightly successful Harvard stranger at a party to mention they went to Harvard. Focus on anti-models, people you do not want to become. Apologize often, except when you are wrong. A focus on efficacy is the main barrier to a poetic, noble, elegant, robust, heroic life. Some, like bankers, are so unfit for success they look like dwarves in giants' clothes. Do not complain too loudly about wrongs done to you or you may give ideas to unimaginative enemies. Most feed obsessions by trying to eliminate them. Opinions and tastes are equally hard to change. I have fondest memories of ugly places and the most boring ones of scenic places. Fitness shows strength, but the drive to be fit can signal profound incurable weakness. Charm is the ability to insult without offense. Nerdiness is the inability to do so. Those who do not think employment is slavery are blind or employed. Life in boxes, born in a box, live in a box, study in boxes, work in a box cubicle, drive and shop in boxes, think outside the box, die in a box. Modern conversations can be reconstructed more and more with clips from other conversations. The 20th century saw the failure of social utopia. The 21st century will see the failure of technological utopia. Efforts at social, political and medical utopias caused nightmares. Many benefits came from martial efforts. The internet's connectedness creates informational promiscuity and pseudo-sociality, making one feel cleansed by rationing internet use. In most debates, people try to convince each other but can only find new ways to convince themselves. Here is a summary. The summaries express several thoughts rediscovered throughout history, as Montaigne demonstrated. Some key ideas. People often need to realize the actual subject of disagreement. Unsuccessful people often give the most advice. Rumors are only valuable when denied. We are more prone to deceiving ourselves than others. Some try to win arguments, and those try to find truth. They differ. People often apologize for repeating their actions. Mathematics replaces knowledge like an artificial hand replaces a real one. We now need reasons to justify natural acts like walking. This reflects hidden anxieties. Social media is antisocial. Knowledge workers are ignorant. The social sciences are unscientific. We should look for people's cause of life, not just their cause of death. Those who use others most hate being used themselves. Be skeptical of those with many reasons for wanting a job. Someone who shares secrets but expects you to keep them cannot keep secrets themselves. Social networks would be more informative if they described what people dislike, not just like. Asking why makes reticent people talkative due to over-attributing causation. Indeed, independent thinkers may seem dull, like accountants. The summaries continue with many other thoughts on subjects like the dangers of addictions to things like technology, carbohydrates, and a regular salary. How to live an authentic paleo life free of overwork and overschedule. How skills like spontaneity and broad knowledge transfer between domains but narrow expertise and efficiency do not. How most efficiencies ultimately punish us. The differences between natural, social life, and modern life. Various critiques of technology, competition, treadmills, and more. insights into writing, literature, reading, philosophy, and related domains. Overall, the summaries express a wide range of thought-provoking ideas that question many assumptions of modern life. The thoughts praise independence, spontaneity, social connection, and depth while critiquing narrowness, overwork, technology, and more. Here's a summary. Regular minds find similarities, finer minds detect differences. We amplify commonalities with friends and differences with strangers. Many study history to repeat mistakes. There is nothing harmful that cannot benefit in some instances. Complex systems weaken universal notions. The fool generalizes the particular, the nerd particularizes the general. You want to be unique, the collective wants you generic. Love is the victory of the particular over the general. We have little control over our thoughts. Wisdom degrades over time. Replace illusions with other illusions. Much seeming random is in our control. The fool sees himself as more unique and others as more generic. The wise sees himself as more generic and others more unique. Medicine fooled people because it displayed successes and buried mistakes. Focus on what others do not know, not what you know. Medieval man did not understand his world. Modern man thinks he understands his complicated world. Data toxicity increases faster than benefits. The media go from informing to manipulating. Mental clarity comes from courage, not vice versa. Most accept art when others say it is good, some need two or more to say so. Al-Mutanabbi boasted of being the greatest poet in the greatest poem. Wit shows intelligence without nerdiness. Classical art showed lean males and plump females, modern art showed the opposite. No academic matches creators. Explaining poetry annoys poets. True friends have no reasons for their friendship. Life's beauty, kind acts from those wanting no reciprocation. We help those who need it least. Value people by how they change from first to last encounter. Meditation satisfies narcissism without harm. True humility surprises yourself more than others. National pride is boasting. Convince only those who benefit. Greatness begins by replacing hatred with disdain. Trust those who stand or lie down more than those who sit. Apparent virtues are the hardest to achieve. The miserly are generous with advice. If you lie to me, keep lying. Do not trust those needing income, accept minimum wage. You may outlive strength, never wisdom. Weak men satisfy needs and vital men's duties. Religion evolved from promising heaven for good deeds to promising heaven during good deeds to demanding good deeds. Heroes have choice, avoid calling others heroes. Some thank for what you gave, others blame for what you did not give. Ethical people match beliefs to the profession, not vice versa. Now rare. Trust none saying they are trustworthy. People need to impress someone. Explains pets. Pure generosity helps the ungrateful. Otherwise, it is self-serving. Crooks may need to see that the honest can be shrewder. Morel in Proust demonizes his Jewish lender to escape gratitude. Promising luck for good deeds seems like a bribe. Magnificence v. Arrogance lies in private tax. Nations are apartheid without political incorrectness. In crowds, 50% of the wealth, 90% of imagination, and 100% of courage reside in one person, not the same. Hiding weaknesses makes them repugnant. In English, no distinction between irreverent up and irreverent down. One poor ex-social equal affects more than many starving foreigners. Secure people can lose fortune without humility. Test robustness to reputation by claiming someone is still doing poorly. Robustness is progress without impatience. Are you conflicted between choices? Take neither. Nations like war, city-states like commerce, families like stability, individuals like entertainment. Robust care about few who like their work. Fragile care about few who do not. The rationalist wants an imbecile-free world, the empiricist wants an imbecile-proof one, or a rationalist-proof one. Academics are functional when useless, math, philosophy, but dangerous when applicable. For the robust, errors inform, for the fragile, errors are errors. Test reputational robustness by an emotional reaction to a journalist's email. The disadvantage of being a writer, especially in Britain, is that nothing damages your reputation. Passionate hate ends by rotating to new hates. The mediocre have only one enemy. Warring statelets are robust. Here's a summary. The author dislikes big government but favors big business. Deficits tend to be larger than planned. Sports and competitions fossilize the mind and body. Classroom training only improves classroom skills. The businessman carried light luggage but lifted heavy weights. Games give non-heroes the illusion of winning. IQ and SATs are designed so nerds can score high. Knowledge is subtractive. Intelligence is ignoring irrelevant things. Happiness is avoiding unhappiness. Genius has more imagination than intellect. The academic has more intellect than imagination. The most influential moderns, Darwin, Marx, Freud, Einstein, were scholars, not academics. Philosophers gain insight through leisure. Accepting incompleteness requires intellect and confidence. Economics and consultants are vulgar. What they call risk is opportunity. Low-risk opportunity is a sucker problem. Models and markets are stupid. Curing greed with money is foolish. Institutions lack individual virtues. Incompetence causes progress, competence causes fragility. Scamming billions is easier than scamming millions. The failure of scientific approximation comes from the fact that the average of expectations differs from the expectation of averages. Summarizing: you need skills to get a BMW, skills plus luck to become Warren Buffett. As Taleb says, Buffett has no skills is poor journalism. The key ideas are that randomness, unpredictability, and limited knowledge pervade life. Understanding incompleteness and avoiding overconfidence is necessary for progress. Institutionalization and over-reliance on models and metrics can increase fragility. Vulgarity and incompetence are more problematic than commonly realized. Here is a summary. The author discusses how people's areas of expertise and preferences often determine their career choices. Those interested in science pursue science careers, those talented in the arts pursue arts careers, the practical pursue business, and those left over become economists. Companies and economies are prone to collapse, like cells undergoing apoptosis or programmed cell death, due to accumulating hidden risks and debt. Government bailouts only make this cycle of boom and bust more drawn out. In poor countries, officials openly take bribes, while in wealthy nations like the U.S., officials are implicitly influenced through the revolving door between government and private corporations. It is ironic and cruel when a banker ends up in poverty. The author suggests re-evaluating students' GPAs by reverse counting finance and economics grades. Agency problems drive companies to take on more and more risk until they become very fragile. In politics, we must choose between warmongers who support big business and nation-states, or technocrats who serve large employers but are detached from reality and prone to top-down control. However, we have a choice to reject both. Most people avoid criticizing minor insults but remain passive towards large injustices, like major corporate or political malfeasance. Only the magnificent, or morally courageous, criticize injustice at any scale. The implicit and the unsaid often reveal more than what is explicit or openly stated. People's interests and silences can be more revealing than their dating profiles or public declarations. There are many kinds of love, but rarely do people thirst for money, knowledge, and love all at once. Love often requires sacrifice. Marriage tends to make men and women more alike or feminized. The author distrusts declared endings or the idea that life has a fixed conclusion and believes events rarely terminate in the clear-cut way most films do. Our knowledge has limitations, and we often impose inaccurate or Procrustean narratives on complex realities that do not fit neatly into simplistic categories. The modern world bombards us with information, fueling more delusion. We must remain robust to uncertainties and unknowns, not fragile. Here is a summary. The author likes aphorisms, maxims and proverbs because they are short but poignant. They have been used for many purposes, from religious texts to poetry to philosophy. Good aphorisms are thought-provoking and require reflection. The author believes his writing style tends towards the aphoristic. His ideas often come to him spontaneously while walking or relaxing. The author criticizes the nerdification of society and scorns the abstract. He believes this makes us vulnerable to black swan events. Science needs to improve at dealing with complex, interdependent systems. The author values erudition, elegance, and courage over phoniness, nerdiness, and philistinism. He believes art and aphorisms make life worth living. Although the author's ideas are often reduced to opposition to technology, his main concern is naivety about its unintended effects and fragility. He believes ethics should be unconditional but technology conditional. The author acknowledges many people who have helped and influenced him. He describes himself as spending most of his time meditating in cafes. The key ideas are a defense of aphoristic philosophy and poetry, a critique of blind faith in science and technology, the importance of robustness and concern for the black swan events, and the influence of various thinkers on the author's meditative style of work. Book link: click here.